We like to believe we're steering our minds, making conscious choices, acting with intention. But even a brief moment of honest introspection reveals a deeper truth. Much of what drives us isn't us at all. It's as if we're following an invisible GPS, programmed by forces we barely understand. We only see the screen, but beneath it, a hidden software system, built on layers of unconscious code, running silently on even more complex hardware. And if we never bother to learn how this system works, where it's trying to take us, or how to override it when it fails, we risk moving through life like sleepwalkers, arriving at destinations that feel empty, or worse, catastrophic. One of the boldest minds to ever explore this internal machine from the inside out was a Swiss psychiatrist born in 1875, Carl Gustav Jung. In a small Swiss village, to a rural pastor and a mystical, troubled mother, Jung was born into a world of contrasts, spiritual but cold, religious but confused. He was a quiet child, lonely, imaginative, often retreating into fantasy, observing adults with detached curiosity, and escaping school through frequent fainting spells that veiled his psychological unrest. But a father's worried gaze was enough to trigger a dramatic transformation. Jung, once indifferent to education, became obsessed with knowledge, devouring books on philosophy and theology, not to please the world, but to understand it. Medicine came next. At the University of Basel, then psychiatry in Zurich, where he worked under the esteemed Eugen Bleuler. Eventually, he opened his own practice, and in 1907, destiny introduced him to Sigmund Freud. Their first meeting lasted 13 straight hours, a volcanic explosion of ideas, theories, and dreams. Their bond grew quickly, mentor and prodigy, father and son. Together they traveled, taught, and examined the human mind until the differences between them became too vast to ignore. Freud's reductionist, scientific lens couldn't contain Jung's deeper symbolic vision. Where Freud saw the mind as a machine, Jung saw a myth, alive, mysterious, divine. And in 1913, their ideological split tore their friendship apart. What followed was not a chapter, it was a descent. From 1913 to 1918, Jung entered a profound psychological crisis, a confrontation with his own unconscious. He conducted inner experiments, journaled obsessively, and from these ashes he re-emerged, not as a follower, but as a pioneer of a new psychological frontier. Jung's mission was daring, to map the human psyche, and to guide others through the treacherous terrain of becoming whole. He believed our ultimate task is individuation, to unify the fragments within us, the conscious and the unconscious, the persona we show and the shadow we hide, all integrated into what Jung called the self. For Jung, the psyche wasn't just the mind. It was the entire personality, thoughts, feelings, instincts, memory. And most of it existed outside our awareness. What we know of ourselves is a mere flicker. The rest, the true forces behind our behavior, live deep below the surface. So, to become who we truly are, we must reach downward, into the unknown, and pull the unconscious into the light of consciousness. That process, individuation. Jung divided the psyche into three realms: consciousness, personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. Consciousness is what we're aware of, our sense of identity. At its center lies the ego, the voice narrating our life, telling us who we are and who we're supposed to be. But this voice is shaped more by survival than truth. It hides, filters, and represses anything that threatens its story. What we repress gets pushed into the personal unconscious, still alive, still influencing us, but hidden from sight. But Jung went further. He proposed something far more ancient and mysterious: the collective unconscious, a universal layer of the mind, inherited through human history. Just as we inherit physical features, we inherit psychic structures, archetypes, primal blueprints of human experience. These archetypes surface in dreams, myths, art, and symbols. Across all cultures, all ages, they are timeless. They are the gods and monsters of the human soul. Among them lies the shadow, everything we've denied, rejected, or feared in ourselves. It is the darkness that trails behind us. And within the shadow live the anima and animus, the suppressed feminine in man and the suppressed masculine in woman. All these forces, known and unknown, orbit around one central truth: the self, our authentic core, not the mask we wear, but the totality of what we are. To align with the self is to live truthfully. But truth is brutal. It demands self-honesty. It requires we admit not just our dreams, but our darkness. To walk this path, one must accept that they are not always good, that the hatred, the envy, the weakness we see in others may also live inside of us. Each moment of discomfort, each trigger, each time we feel shame or rage, these are clues, and each clue is a stair leading down into the psyche. But we often refuse the descent. We run from our flaws, deny our ugliness, pretend we're better than we are. Yet the shadow doesn't vanish just because we close our eyes. You cannot run away from a shadow, Jung warned. It follows you, always. The more we ignore it, the more dangerous it becomes. Like a virus, repressed darkness mutates, leaks out, and poisons our relationships, our decisions, and our sense of self. But by facing it, we gain control. We see what was once invisible, and what we see, we can heal. This is the essence of Jung's work: not to escape the unconscious, but to understand it. Not to deny the shadow, but to integrate it. And through that, rewrite the script of our lives, not just as victims of programming, but as editors, conscious, aware, whole. In the end, it's not about being perfect, it's about being real. True individuation is the greatest journey a person can take, a spiral into the depths of the self, and a climb back into the light. But now, with eyes wide open.